Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ali sayyidina Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim. Rabbi zidni ilma, Rabbi zidni ilma, Rabbi zidni ilma. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Hope you all are doing well, inshallah. Welcome to our discussion of the remedy for the sick. So today we will begin the 11th remedy, which is the 25th flash, page 272. Now, before we move on, I will briefly go over what we discussed in the last class. We spoke about worry and sickness, how it affects a sick person, worry being the cause to increase illness. Furthermore, worry itself is an illness. Now, who would like to get more sick when already sick? Anyone? No, none of us would like that. None of us would like to aggravate a sickness that already exists. Now, just to give like a practical example, when a person is sick, he is advised by the physician to take rest, which mainly includes sleeping as much as possible. Now, what happens with sleeping is sleeping puts the sick person's nervous system, I would say, to a pause. I mean, it would keep it to rest. With this pause, there is no thinking happening, nor are there any feelings being felt. And therefore, there is no worry or worrisome thoughts that are being taken place. Therefore, with resting, the sickness takes its course without increasing due to worry. Now, obviously, no one likes to be sick. I do not like to be sick. I do not like illness, but when it is given, I become a different person, such that I suddenly realize that my being is not under my own control, as I really can't do anything to my body, which makes me realize that I do not own myself. This is so beautiful. Really, I think this is so beautiful. This is a very beneficial and useful realization for me. I realized that I am not the owner of myself. Now the question arises that who controls my life? There must be someone, but someone who cannot be of the nature of this universe, but rather there must be an absolute one who gave me existence within the conditions of this universe. Now this understanding expands my comprehension that I am the creation of the one who created the universe. Think about how beautiful this realization is. It is nothing but a mercy, a reward. With this realization, we welcome illness rather than criticizing it. Illness makes me realize this, but I am given sense not to like it. Then the question arises, why is it so? And it is because with sickness, I will get to appreciate health in this way. Therefore, I realize that this is all given. The realization that just like illness, health is also given, and that it belongs to the owner of the universe. It is a gift from my creator. So I will come to the realization of my reality. And this realization is what will remove my worry and cut the illness at its root. So pretty much, I tried my best to summarize what we discussed and studied, but anyone who feels like there's anything missing or wants to add something or comment or question, please feel free. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and move to the 11th remedy. I'm quickly gonna check the inbox. Great, seems like everything was pretty clear cut. The 11th remedy, I'm happy to read unless there is any volunteer who would like to read. Okay. The 11th remedy. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Oh, my impatient sick brother. Although illness causes you an immediate suffering, your illness through the past until today produces a spiritual pleasure and happiness arising from the reward received for enduring it. From today forward, from this hour even, the illness does not exist, and certainly no pain is suffered from not being. And if there is no pain, there can be no distress. You become impatient because you imagine things wrongly. For both the physical illness prior to today and its pain have departed. All that remains are its reward and the pleasure at its passing. This should afford you profit and happiness, so to think of past days and feel grieved and impatient is crazy. Future days have not yet arrived. To dwell on them now and to feel upset and impatient by imagining a day that does not exist and an illness that does not exist and distress that does not exist is to impart existence to 3 degrees of non existence. If that is not crazy, what is? If the previous hour was one of illness, it produces joy. And since the time subsequent to the present hour is non existent, and both the illness and the distress are non existent, do not scatter the power of patience given you by the Almighty God to right and left, but muster in it in the face of pain of the present hour. Say, O most patient one, and withstand it. So this was the 11th remedy. And here, well, it's clearly, you know, points out what the author is trying to say. He's saying basically patience as being a remedy for the sick. And in our everyday life, I see, at least I see it. I know we all do, but I do see that we need patience. We need patience, like for example, we need patience while driving. We need patience when we are having a conversation with somebody. We need patience in doing something, anything we're doing, arts and crafts or anything. And with this, I mean, I guess that's why there's a proverb which says, "Patience is a virtue," and it's well understood as good things come to those who are patient. And with this, I really think what the author is saying is, of course, if you're patient in illness, um, you're basically enduring pain, and your outcome will be very pleasurable. That basically is my understanding. But anyone who wants to add anything, comment or question, please feel free. I'll give you a few seconds. I mean, I really see this as pretty much very self-explanatory, but definitely sharing our thoughts and ideas with one another will broaden up our way of understanding things. So let me just quickly check if anybody wants to participate here. All good. Oh, Faria, go ahead, please.
Awesome here. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for the beautiful introduction and your explanation of patience. Right. So patience is a virtue, as you said. And so in this context, as you said about the sickness, we have to be patient. And how does the author kind of define what patience in this context of sickness is? Somewhat different from the conventional way of how usually we understand patience. Now, if we go back to the first paragraph, as you said, although illness causes you an immediate suffering, your illness through the past until today produces a spiritual pleasure and happiness arising from the reward received for enduring that illness. So there's two things that are happening. So there's a immediate pain, which is the sickness that we do not want, right? But there is that spiritual pleasure, that the meaning side of the sickness that we can look into. And that we have either the option of just complaining about it, or we have the option of really understanding like who the health giver is, who is the one who is, as you mentioned in your introduction, that my body is not under my control. So who is that source behind all this creation, all these events that I'm encountering? So that realization in really getting in touch with that source of being, feeling that presence of that being is what would be entailed as being patient in this particular text, I would say. So just wanted to run that by, that connection that one establishes through that event that is undesirable physically, but the meaning side of it, it gets you in touch, connected with your source of existence.
Thank you so much, Asim. That was pretty meaningful. Definitely there, there's the spiritual side of it. As you mentioned, two things happening: an immediate pain that as soon as we get sick, we really feel it there. And I really feel like, you need consciousness right there, because if there's no consciousness, you will see the thing as it is. I mean, it would just say, just like a label that you read, sickness, there you go, there's sickness. But and then that if you take that route, that would really aggravate things. And with patience also, you would not start, I mean, this is how I am understanding it, you would not, rather than questioning what's going to happen and how long it will last and what the outcome will be, and how much pain I will have the next day. I mean, going to this whole route and thinking about all these questions, it's actually leads to what we read in the previous remedy about worry. So the way I see it is also that, patient here, like the author, when he mentions patience, he's actually really talking about which would be the opposite of worry. Worry making you question and wonder, and it could be any question, pondering, how long it will last, the pain, what will I feel tomorrow, how many days it will last. And if you look at the spiritual side of it, definitely you pause with your conscious being, you will think about who is the giver of it. And it even brings it back to the point that you were healthy prior to being sick, you were healthy, and who is the giver of that? And definitely there must be an absolute one that is giving all this. And that realization also brings me to realize of my reality. And this is where it's really a reward, I see. So that's that. Anybody else who would like to add anything? I see another hand up. Asim, would you like to say something? Go ahead, please. Okay, now I see H. Bezos' hand. Please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for all the comments and summary so far. It it almost seems to me as if the impatience itself is a sort of sickness, or a means of um, getting spiritually sick, which can also manifest itself physically too. And I know we had talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but what is the nature of patience and what is the nature of impatience? And impatience being, or I find myself being impatient in a situation when I either cannot see where the final um, what the final aspect of that situation looks to. So I might get impatient because I might think that I might be in my situation indefinitely, or I don't know until when I need to be patient. Or I might also find myself impatient if I do see the end point, but I don't see it worthy of the time that I invest in it and be patient so that I get the end point. So if I have to walk, or I don't know, if I have to drive 2 hours to get something and it's not worth my time, then I might be impatient in that task because it's not worth it. But if it's something very, very valuable, I'll take an airplane and fly around the world if I need to, depending on what that what that endpoint looks to me, what that worth is. So patience kind of being tied to both my ability to see what it looks to, and also um, how much I value that which um, I'm being patient for. So when I'm sick, that impatience being not seeing how the sickness is benefiting me, or what ends or what meaning it looks to, or as this 11th remedy is emphasizing from another angle, when the sickness has passed already, so I might not be physically sick anymore, um, or I guess at least one reading of it, I was thinking about how, like, if a particular sickness has passed, or I guess it can still be continuing, but a particular sickness has passed or illness has passed, and I am still suffering from this thing called impatience because I might not see the value in the experience that I've had already, or I might also be suffering from the pain of the transience of the health that I have at the current moment. So I might very well find myself in a physically ill state of being again. So I'm being impatient in a way, and I'm suffering from that. Um, so impatience kind of looking to the meaninglessness of something, or in other words, the non-existence of something. As the author says in the third sentence, he says, the illness does not exist, and certainly no pain is suffered from non-being. So kind of rendering things meaningless for myself, and as you know, Asfa, you've beautifully summarized, in if I don't connect it to, if I don't ask, where is the sickness and health coming from, and how are they coming into existence, and why is it that I find myself in this particular situation, and is it a result of, what is it a result of, is it things just coming into being, as a part of something, or as a part of a conscious will, or is it just random, or whatever the case is. If I don't question, if I don't go through this thought process, then I'm rendering it meaningless for myself. So I don't want to ramble on too much, but um, and then after that, the author also says, um, where was it? For both the physical illness prior to today and its pain, it's two sentences after that. For both the physical illness prior to today and its pain have departed, all that remains are its reward and the pleasure at its passing. So again, this distinction that the author is making between the sort of physical pain and this sort of spiritual pain, and the in the lack of pain is the presence of pleasure. And even though I may not physically be ill at one point, that spiritual illness can still continue to persist. So kind of like tie together like this relationship between the inner and the outer sickness. And then one last idea that I had that I'm still thinking about. Sorry, it's a little bit disconnected from one another, but this concept of at the very end where it says "say, O most patient one," and how this ties into me being patient or me being impatient. I guess like I was thinking like what does it mean to say "oh most patient one," or what does it mean for God to be the patient one, as if God is being patient with something or being impatient with something. But if we look at it from the lens of meaningfulness, if something, if I'm patient and when I make an effort to try to understand the meaningful aspect of it, then that also looks to patience and looks to him as well, and so um, seeing him as the source of patience for myself, or in other words, seeing the source of my existence as the source of meaning for my experiences of physical illness for myself as well. Sorry, my thoughts are kind of scattered as usual. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Besa. That's absolutely fine. I'm still trying to I don't know, understand clearly certain points where when you mentioned the nature of patience and the nature of impatience being not being able, not seeing how sickness is benefiting me. If you can please clarify this for me a little bit, or if anybody else wants to make it a little clear, I would appreciate it. Thank you, HBSA. Go ahead, please.
Yes, that's completely on my end for not being clear enough. Yeah. So what I was trying to say is, the nature, or at least the first part of my comments were about the nature of patience and impatience, and so the sort of situations where I find myself patient or impatient is when I either do not see the final end to what that experience looks to. So if I don't know, let's say even with education, right? If you go into an education institution and you enroll yourself there, but you don't know what the end purpose is, you don't know that such a degree exists, then while it may be innate in the human being to want to improve themselves, if you don't know for what purpose, in a way it kind of it would render the experience in a way meaningless for me to just learn for the sake of learning, or not knowing where, like I would be wandering aimlessly, and in that state of being I would find myself impatient. Or at the same time, as I tried to say before, like if I think that, oh yeah, I'm going to get my degree at the end of this experience, but I don't really care for a degree, then again I'm going to feel impatient, and I'm not going to show the necessary or correct amount of patience for that experience so that I may get the degree, because I don't value what it looks to. So this sort of impatience that the author, I think, is referring to, alluding to a sort of spiritual illness where I don't see the meaningful aspect of my sickness in this particular, I guess, with these 11 remedies. We've been talking about the remedy for the sick, right? So in particular, the sort of physical illness that can persist or coexist with this sort of spiritual illness as a result of being impatient, meaning that as a result of not being able to put my sickness in its correct existential context within the reality of within my own reality, meaning not being able to make sense of it, kind of giving me an error code whenever I try to understand why it is that I'm being patient, or I should be patient when I am sick, or even if a sickness has already if I've already been given health, then still suffering from a sort of impatience because um, I I feel insecure in the health because it might also be taken away, and I don't know, or I'm not able to make sense of why the sickness was given to me in the first place. Um, does that kind of make sense? If not, please let me know. It's totally on me.
Well, thank you, H. Pizza. Yes, it is somewhat clear in the way I am, and you can definitely barge in if you think that I got the wrong concept. But going back to your a person's consciousness, like him realizing, him or her realizing the source of where, I mean, anything, health or sickness coming from, and not having that realization is the way, the path we take of being impatient. Um, and of course, with patient is when you actually acknowledge everything and you realize the reality of your existence. Pretty much that's what I took away from what you said. You can just, each base, you can just give a thumbs up if I understood you right. Thank you. Awesome, great, thank you. Anyone else who would like to add anything or comment or any questions? Let me check this. Okay.
Asifa, Dr. Ali has his hand raised up. Can you hear us?
Sure, thank you. Go ahead, Dr. Ali. Sorry about that.
Thank you. I think the 11th remedy is covered by you, your presentation, and those people who made comment. Yeah, more or less, we understood it. So it reminded me, maybe not directly related to the subject of being sick and feeling pain and how are we going to be patient with it. It reminded me my life. In my life, not always I am ill, but I'm suffering from different illnesses. But I live in this world, and I feel that I have to take notice of the remedy which is presented to us, that don't scatter your patience to the past and to the future. Just concentrate on the one which exists. I said, oh, that's a very important principle. In order to practice this principle, you don't have to be sick. For example, now think about your existence right now. Don't go into non-existence, which doesn't exist. For example, what am I supposed to do now? I have to focus on my existence right now and my being right now, and think about its reality as much as I can grasp. what it is, what is happening in this world, and why am I in this world? Of course, the life is transient. I understand. Past is not accessible for me. It is past, and it departs me for as far as I am concerned, forever. As far as I am concerned, forever. I cannot get it back, and in the future, I cannot. For the future, I cannot guarantee the future. Right, I am here, so I have to concentrate myself on my previous, the present time now, and reflect on it. But mostly we find that reflection on the creation is very burdensome. For example, during the prayer, my mind scatters all the things happened before the prayer, before I start the prayer, and also starts making planning after I finish the prayer, but lose my concentration on the present time, what I am doing here, what am I expressing in the way when I perform the prayer or anything, any activity. Concentrate on the moment that you are responsible for. This is the only real time. Thinking about the meaning of the creation, not only me, but I have heard many other people, do we have to always think about the creation? What is this? What does it mean, etc.? So we conclude once and stop it, finish. It is done. So we have to pass to something else. It means we have to pass means we shouldn't concentrate on the real existence of my present time. So what I have to do now, if I omit the reflections on my present time existence in my prayer, also I cannot concentrate on what I am doing, on the meaning of what I am doing in my prayer, in my fasting, in the other actions which are related to religious duties, if you like, or religious actions. So if I only live in the present time, not only the illness that I can overcome easily, and also my responsibility of connecting myself to my creator through the witnessing of the universe also becomes possible, because universe is always present in my grasp. Here I am. Now, as I witness the creation now, the universe now, I can easily go through the witnessing, through the signs of the creation, to the source of the existence, and assign myself, my own existence, and the existence of everything that I am witnessing right now to its creator. So it becomes possible to live in the presence of the creator every present moment. So it needs a bit concentration, or gathering the patience, our patience, which the creator has given us this ability to be patient if something is very short living. Just the short living things, okay, for a minute it will go. So since we have this patience, which is enough for a short time, but in reality, if I bear in mind that every moment is a very short time, so just concentrate on the present time. You can, I feel that I can always be in the presence of God if only I concentrate myself in the present existing universe right now, every moment. So don't go to the future. No, how long am I going to be in this position? No, no. How long have I been in this position? Don't go there. Past is past, and the future has not come. They are not real existent things. So just now, concentrate on it. You can bear. I thought after listening to you, I can bear every kind of life conditions if I only focus my patience to my present time. That made me feel happy and that I can solve the problems. For example, I may think that, oh, the life will come and I will die and the life in the hereafter. No, no, no. Just now, what is your duty? What is your responsibility before the creation of the whole universe? Just concentrate on it. Just keep present time alive in your life and understand that I should not scatter my patience to the past and the future, which don't exist as far as I am concerned. So it becomes easy to live in the presence of God if I educate myself, train myself, how I can concentrate on my duty, responsibility in the present time. That made me feel happy, and I wanted to share it with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Ali. You definitely concluded it all with patience. That definitely I need to focus on my existence right now and think about its reality. Concentrating on my present now this is the only real time of my existence. And adding that I can bear anything as long as I focus my patience to the present time rather than scattering it to the past, which is not existent, and or to the future, which is non-existent as well. With this, we pretty much covered the 11th remedy. If anybody has any questions or comment, here's your time. Otherwise, we'll move forward to the 12th remedy. Let me quickly check if there's any hands up. Fariha, please go ahead.
Just going over Brother Ali's comments. When you read this remedy, that's what I was thinking about. I was like, whoa, gotta focus on the now, live in the moment. And we all hear that usually in the mainstream, active listening, be in the moment, stay present. But there was another dimension added on to, what was imparted to what Brother Ali was saying and connecting to what the author is pinpointing as well. It's living in the presence of the source of our existence here and now, and be connected with what we refer to as absolute or the creator of the universe here and now. So yes, I'm focusing on being in the now, but what's the reason behind this, or why do I need to concentrate on that? It's just because I want to be in the presence of this one that's bringing each moment into existence. So our life is like a movie, or the reel of a movie that just keeps passing. So I have to just ground myself in terms of staying in the moment. So so that's just wanted to share that highlight. And some of the other questions I had, alhamdulillah, have been answered as well in terms of how the author mentions non-being and non-existence. So it makes sense. If I'm not in the now, then if my mind is, which is most of the time, wandering around, to-do list or something, reflecting on some past moments, then it's not in the now. So it's not existence. So why am I even wasting my human capital on that. And if it's something that's needed, like a planning, I need to do something, okay, then that makes sense. But otherwise, I think that's the training, inshallah, we need to work on. So besides that, all has been covered. I just had one question about the reward that the author is mentioning here, which initially, while you were reading, I was like, okay, what does he mean by that? So, oh, my impatient sick brother. So the way I took impatient was, when I'm in a state of heedlessness or like a regular, like everybody pointed out, when I'm impatient with anything. So although illness causes you an immediate suffering, your illness through the past and today produces a spiritual pleasure and happiness arising from the reward receiving for enduring it. I'm not so sure what the author means. I do have an idea, but I just wanted to see what everyone's thought on it is, because he's saying from the reward received for enduring it, as in while being patient on something, like a calamity has struck or hardship is being experienced, I'm enduring it, I'm being patient. So I don't know, it's a little bit threw me off, the reward received for enduring it. How can we understand reward? What kind of reward is the author referring to? I mean, based on, how we usually discuss these kind of concepts here, I have a general definition of it, but I just was curious to see how everybody's take on it is. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Fariha. Would anybody like to answer or go over your takeaway on the reward received for enduring it? Let me see if there's any hands up. At least I can share what my understanding and takeaway was. With reward, I always think reward as when you come into that realization of who is the giver and where is this coming from, whether, it was sickness or health, and then it brings back to the point that we are realizing the reality of your own existence. To me, not only it is a mercy, and mercy to me equals the reward to me. But definitely, we all have our different ways of understanding. And I don't know, Faria, if this helps, but if anyone would like to add anything, or Faria, if you would like to share your thoughts on that, please go ahead. Go ahead, Faria.
Jazakallah khair. Yeah, that helps. So that was where I was gearing towards as well, like a recognition of my existence, a recognition of the source of my existence, or even further, a recognition of the aim of being given existence. So like you said, that, it all connects back to becoming then like seeing or recognizing divine mercy. So yeah, alhamdulillah, thank you.
Alhamdulillah, thank you so much, Fariha. And I do see there's a comment from H. Beza, sorry. Oops, sorry. Thank you so much, Fariha. And alhamdulillah, that we got our points understood. And I see there's a comment there from H. Beza. Would you like to go ahead and read your comment, H. Beza?
Oops, sure. Basically, yeah, I was just kind of writing or thinking about, I guess like my initial response to something like be patient is always geared towards the future. it doesn't necessarily look to the here and now, because, be patient, and then it's going to get better, for example. It seems as if the reward and the pleasure is only attained or given once one is patient, and then at the end of that, then that journey, then that reward is reaped. Whereas the way that Brother Ali and Faria also highlighted was being patient, by not squandering one's patience for the future, but rather focusing on what exists in the present. So in other words, not focusing on what does not exist, and that being that which is in the past or that which is in the future. Although within the human being is the ability to think about the past and the future, and the desire to want to secure one's future. But the way that I understood it was kind of securing that future for oneself in the present. And so, as was said, using the present as in what exists, as in what is my reality here, as a means of being aware of the source of my existence, being aware of my creator, being aware of the one who is creating, giving me existence and creating all of these different experiences for me. So that's I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, H. Beza. Yeah, I had that thought as well. When I usually thought about patience, it always seems like, it was related to anything that would happen in the future. And as it's mainly when I would see toddlers, they're being impatient with anything, like a dessert, and we're like, okay, be patient, be patient. It's more like, don't run towards it, because that's going to happen in the future. For example, the cake will come out on the table in the future, so just be patient, that kind of thing. But it all, boils down to the fact that we have to, just like Brother Ali clearly stated, that, concentrate on my present time now. This is the only real time of my existence. I definitely know it's easy said than done, but I think we definitely should practice this, especially from now on. I mean, I'm also speaking to myself here. Okay, so with the 11th remedy, anyone else has any questions, comments, or wants to add anything? I'm going to quickly check the chat box. Brother Ali, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. This reward, the question about reward, it was really significant. We have to dwell on it as much as we need. First of all, we have to understand that patience is not suffering. I mean, patience is not being patient about suffering. We have to suffer, don't worry. We have to suffer, don't worry. No, patience, the author explains in other parts of his writings, patience means, he says, to follow the steps of the order on the moment you are going to practice now. Steps of the order, following the steps of the order. Don't look behind, don't look further. Just concentrate on the moment, what the order required, the order in creation. I'm talking of the order of the universe, requires you of doing right now. If you understand that, even if I am in pain, which is true, I have to think about the creation of that pain, which is quite enough stressed on while you are discussing the matter. I have to concentrate on the creation side of the things that I am experiencing. Even I have to concentrate on the pain if I am feeling pain. Mostly the sick person feels pain. So rather than concentrating on the pain, but concentrate on the existence of the pain, existence of yourself and your relationship with this existing pain. Concentrate on it. What is my responsibility right now about this pain? Now I have to take medicine. I have to wait right now, not one day ahead, or I have been waiting for it for a month. It's still with me. No, don't do that. Right now, concentrate on it. At the same time, H. Beza pointed out that human beings have the senses which go back and to the front, to the future. It means I have the quality to remember what has happened to me in the past, and I have the quality to imagine what will happen in the future. We have to understand that these qualities, these senses, are given to us in order to get the information from them, from remembering the past, imagining the future, and my expectations in the future. This is necessary in order to concentrate on your present time, what you should do. For example, the reward. Now, let's take the typical school education metaphor. So this is an analogy. Now, in the school, I am in the class and I have just registered, enrolled in the school. I am a freshman and I have to go another 4 years to graduate. And nowadays, just a degree is not enough. I have to have the higher degrees, master degree, which may take 1 or 2 years, it means 6 years. The first day I went to the class, started thinking about my high school life. I have been going to the high school for 6, 7 years, and in another 6 years, I'm going to be in this class. And of course, you cannot concentrate on the class that the teacher is teaching you now, because you get bored. 6 years I have been, or if you go to the elementary school education, or is something around 12 years or 10, 12 years, I have been studying, going here. Another 6, 7 years, I will continue. You cannot concentrate on and take pleasure. Instead, yes, I have been studying. As a result, I am at the college level now. Now, here I am. And I have to prepare myself for my life, future life. Now, of course, in order to prepare myself for the future life, I have to pay attention to my teacher now, what he teaches me, and try to follow him and learn, him or her, and learn. Now, the pleasure in their reward there is I concentrate on my present moment. I learn. Present moment, I learn. I become aware of something that I didn't know. So this learning is a source of pleasures, is a kind of reward for as far as the analogy is concerned. For my reward now, I have received the reward. I stayed in the class for 1 hour, let's say, and I learned that much. And it makes me feel pleased. And also, this reward has another aspect, which looks to the future. What is the future? After graduation, your knowledge that you learn at that moment, this is the reward at that moment, will function in the future in your practical life where you get out of the school. Now, when you graduate. Now, when reward is, if I concentrate myself on my present time, whether I am ill or, yes, you can understand one of the hadiths that I interpret, every moment is full of illness, sickness. What is that? If I disconnect myself from my creator, the whole creation becomes meaningless, and the whole creation is a burden on me because I cannot really take the control of the existence of the universe. I am subject to the order of the universe, and I am always treated by someone else. I cannot really exercise my free will as free as I want to be, do everything I want without being subject to the limitations or requirements of the order outside of me. I cannot do that. Now, if you don't think of the source of existence of the universe, what I feel that I am under the pressure of the whole responsibilities of taking care of my life, my existence, and I cannot guarantee anything. That is the most important unbearable burden on one's life. If I cut off my relationship with the source of existence, the creator, so my life becomes totally meaningless and with lots of responsibilities that I cannot guarantee any of them. And I am imprisoned within the conditions of the limitations of the order of the universe by someone else. I am enslaved by someone else here within the conditions of the universe. That is what I understood from one of the hadith interpretation. That is the most unbearable sickness. And if I am patient, think about the reason in its existence, the signs that I can see in the existence of the moment, whatever is being there, out there in me and out there, I take my lesson from it. As I take my lesson from it, I say, this cannot be an accidental being. There is a deliberate action, conscious activity is going on here. So there must be a conscious agent behind all these activities, and including myself, everything else belong to him. I am under the control of this one who gave me my existence here. As soon as I switch the perspective completely on the opposite side, I get the reward paid immediately. I am secure in my existence. I feel comfortable in my being, and all the responsibility of taking care of the necessities of my life and leave them to the creator. He takes care of it. I just only do what is left on my free will. That is so beautiful. When I have this knowledge, this realization, it looks like the moment I am in the classroom, learned what the professor taught, and I am pleased with this learning. How about after graduation? Oh yeah, this creation is not a play. It is so wonderful, so that everything is prepared for me to get some lesson and learn that I and everything else always taken care of by the creator of the universe. And which kind of creator is it? I can study the universe as I am living now and learn his qualities as I am experiencing now. In this way, I am becoming aware of the creator and his absolute qualities and the wisdom in his creating me and the creating the universe. And of course, after I get out of this universe, I am taken away from this school of the universe, I will be rewarded with the knowledge, with the realization of my creator. Definitely when I am taken back to my creator from this prison of the universe. So I will be released from the limitations of the order of this universe. I know definitely I will be left alone with my absolute creator. So he is everything. He is all present. So I am in the presence of the all present one. This is my expectation, and this is the extent of the reward that I am momentarily experiencing in this world. It means every class I learn something. Every class I learn something. At the end, I develop a profession. That is the profession, the reward of this creation, which is next life. So reward has two aspects. Thank you very much. It was a beautiful question, and it made me reflect on.
Thank you so much, Brother Ali. You made such beautiful points, and that was, I guess, for Faria's question. I hope, Faria, that made you understand reward even much better from the example of the school, where the pleasure in the reward is it's the pleasure in the reward is I concentrate in my present moment, and I learn whatever much I learn. You get a reward that is a reward, and then this reward expands to the future in the form of a graduation, and then further on, but after graduation, it's any profession you attain. And with that beautiful hadith, I'm still really like I'm trying to correlate it with my daily life activities, duties, whatever I encounter. Every moment is a moment of illness. And with this, definitely, we would face unbearable burden if we cut off relationship from our creator. That being said, anyone else who would like to add anything or has any questions, comments? Okay, Hamim says, Alhamdulillah, thank you. The case is clear. Let me just quickly check if anybody has their hands raised. Awesome. So let's move to the 12th remedy. Okay, 12th remedy. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. O sick person who due to illness cannot perform his worship and invocations and feels grief at the deprivation, note that it is stated in a hadith that a pious believer who due to illness cannot perform his customary invocations receives a reward equal to them. If an ill person performs his obligatory worship as far as it is possible with patience and relying on God, the illness takes the place of sunnah worship during that time of severe illness and in sincere form. Moreover, illness makes the person understand his impotence and weakness. It causes him to offer supplication, both verbally and through the tongue, of his impotence and weakness. For Almighty God bestowed on man a boundless impotence and infinite weakness, so that he would perpetually seek refuge at the divine court and beseech and supplicate. The verse say, "Your sustainer would not concern himself with you if it was not for your prayers." So the verse has the meaning, what importance would you have if you did not offer prayer and supplication? According to this, sincere prayer and supplication are the reason for man's creation and for his value. Since illness is one cause of this, from this point of view, it should not be complained about, but thanks be offered to God for it. And the tap of supplication which illness opens should not be closed by regaining health. I think we should stop here and go over the first few sentences. So the author is mentioning, "O sick person who due to illness cannot perform his worship and invocations and feels grief at the deprivation." And further, the following sentence says that, I'm sorry, just bear with me, my script moved away. 1 second. Where it is. Okay, it's back. Thank you. So due to illness, the sick person is unable to worship, to perform his worship, and he is left with deprivation. And in the hadith, it is stated that a pious believer who due to illness cannot perform his customary invocation receives a reward equal to them. But prior to going to that hadith, I myself, as I was listening myself read this, I'm not really understanding why a person who is sick is not able to worship, because the way I look and I understand worship is me able to recognize who my source of existence is and what the reality of my existence is, and realizing who has given me sickness, who is the giver of health. That realization, to me, it's also a form of worship. So I'm not too sure what he means when he says the sick person due to illness cannot perform his worship. If anybody has any takeaway on that or would like to, clarify this for me, I would appreciate it. Let me see if there's anybody who wants to speak up. Okay, Hamim says, "I think what is being referred to here are the prescribed prayers, perhaps." Okay, then for me, I would like to also then understand, okay, I know there are the prescribed prayers, yet what would be the, now I guess maybe I'm confusing myself, that's in my mind, but I'm trying to really understand, because even the prescribed prayers is one of the obligatory like forms of worship, but yet I also see me recognizing my source of existence, my creator, and realizing that as a form of worship too. That being said, when even Brother Lee was mentioning that, during prayers, when we say those are physical prayers, yes, definitely there is a deficiency there. At least I know I go through that of concentration, and yes, planning on what I need to do next, or something just comes up. So with that, I'm a little in that confusion box. Is he really strictly talking about the physical prayers? Yet we can also, I feel like there's a vertical balance there. Even if you're not able to get up physically and perform your prayers, yet you can still worship. Can anyone make me understand this a little bit? Would appreciate it. Let me see if there's anybody. Great, Faria, go ahead, please.
Okay, let me try. Awesome. So I think the point about this, it reminded me of Prophet Job's prayer also a little bit, when when it was like, oh, harm has afflicted me, but you are indeed the most merciful, something along those lines. Let me just double check quickly. But that's the idea, is that, yeah, this was, when he called upon his Lord, saying, verily harm has afflicted me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful, which is Quran chapter 21, verse 83. So it could be like a physical kind of situation also in this 12th remedy, as the author is mentioning, because he has a point also about if an ill person performs his obligatory worship as far as it is possible. So as far as it is possible, I thought it is a key phrase. As much as one is able to, whatever they do, even in their realization, in their physical obligatory worship, there, as I don't know if we follow the discussion in the morning, so the whole, your body, spirit, mind, soul, everything all together, responding to, to recognize who your Lord is, basically making that prayer and worship all together. So similar to, let me read this again. O sick person who due to illness cannot perform his worship and vocations and feels grief. So it's about feeling grief at I'm not able to perform as much as I can. So this is the feeling that maybe a human being will have, that, I know I can do better, but, something is maybe preventing me from doing it. Doesn't matter if it's, could be physical, it could be some other thing. But, the grief, don't have that grief, basically. I feel that's what the author is kind of hinting at. And then he says that, there's a hadith that says that if you understand, you're a pious believer, basically, you understand your purpose, your existence, and due to illness cannot perform his customary invocations, receive a reward equal to them. So the point is actually not to, the physical, it's just a side, something that is there for you to do. But the point is to, like, as much as you can, as far as it is possible, is, I think, the focus is what the focus should be, and patience with relying on God. So that recognition, that is there. But Faria has a comment. Let me.
So I think going back to your initial question in terms of, yes, I'm acknowledging my reality, the source of my existence. And yet the author here is mentioning that, oh, I feel grieved at not being able to perform worship the way I ought to. So I'm just connecting this back to, again, just like Asim iterated, in terms of how do I do any sort of acknowledgement in my existence here and now. I am a whole being in terms of heart, mind, intellect, spirit, and then the body. I reside in the body. So in order to do the acknowledgement, the extended version, I have to perform, or I have to express things out in the way that's befitting my human nature, with the whole prostration and everything else that goes on within the structural side. But that's just the top part, but like the essence of it, the spirit of it is the acknowledgement part. But in order to execute my worship, I have to do it as a whole being, wholesome. So yeah, so if I'm ill or something, and obviously that that I feel grieved about not being able to wholesome, like the whole being able to express the acknowledgement. So I'm not sure if that helped.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, Asim and Faria. That actually makes me understand so much better. Yes, as much as we can, definitely is the point here. I'm sorry. Okay. So definitely they're talking about the wholeness of worship, and then when you're a person is ill, as it's as much as you can, basically, and that's what it entails. Anyone else who would like to add anything, or we can just move forward? Okay. So what also, when while reading this, what also caught my attention was understanding that, trying to understand, at least when the author says illness makes the person understands his impotence and weakness. It causes him to offer supplication, both verbally and through the tongue, of his impotence and weakness. For Almighty God bestowed on man a boundless. I'm sorry, I have to go. Wait 1 second.
No problem. So, Brother Ali, I saw your hand up. Would you like to say something? Go ahead, Ali Murmur.
Before you, somebody raised their hand, I don't know. Okay, we have to understand that our responsibility remains on the area where we are left free to choose to exercise our free will. So I'm not responsible for the creation of anything in this world. My responsibility remains on my respond to what is created there, rather than if only, for example, I could do this and that, I would be a better worshiper of God. No, if I am given certain life conditions because of, for example, illness, because of other reasons that are created by God, by the owner of the universe, my responsibility is not to change what God created. My responsibility is how to respond to what God created. For example, as the hadith says, customary invocations, customary way of living by a pious man. And we understood that this pious man is ill, and this pious man is ill and cannot really perform what he used to do, what he would like to do, if it was within his power. It means within his life conditions. But the life conditions are set by the Creator. If I choose, by using my free will, to make myself, for example, if I lock myself into a closet by myself, by following the order created by the owner of the universe. So I say, I am in the cupboard, I cannot make ruku', bowing. I cannot make my, for example, wudu, ablutions. I cannot make my prayer here. No, I'm responsible for it. But if the life conditions are created by the owner of the universe, my responsibility is only how to utilize what is already created for me. And I am sure the creator of the universe is not such an unwise, insane being, so that why didn't you prostrate although you were ill and you couldn't? It means illness is created by him, and the ability is taken away from you by him. He wouldn't take you to the responsibility or take to the account of why you shouldn't perform your regular prayers or your, as the hadith says, customary prayers or invocations or customary way of performing your duties, religious duties. It means prayers. Of course, we can perform our worship, understanding our situation before God as the worshipers, if our mind is healthy. But my body's illness doesn't prevent from my reason to think. Of course, it may attract my attention to the illness itself, cannot concentrate on reasoning. Of course, this is how I am created. And the hadith says, don't worry about it. The Creator knows what he has or in which conditions he has created you. So no criticism, no despair that, oh, because of the illness, I couldn't do this and that. Worshipful attitude, or as the hadith says, in the translation of the hadith says, customary invocations, I shouldn't be despaired because it wasn't my choice. I was created in a different conditions. So God, the Creator, knows what I would do if I wasn't ill. That is the news that we are learning from the teachings of the Prophet. He knows what I was going to do in certain conditions. Because of his creation, I am prevented from doing what I would like to do, and the responsibility is not on me. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, Brother Ali. It's pretty much very clear to me that yes, that's into thinking that at every point we have to think who is the giver. I mean, there's somebody who is the owner of everything. which also includes my ability to being able to physically, or the way the author says, to perform the customary invocation when I'm sick. And this realization definitely makes me understand, or at least makes me reflect that yes, there is for everything that's happening, our thoughts, our feelings, our abilities to do or not to be able to do things is given by someone, and this someone is the absolute one who has given me existence, who has given existence to me, able to do things, or at moments not being able to do things, bringing back me realizing the reality of my existence. With this being said, anybody who would like to add anything or has any questions or comments? I will quickly check the chat box. Everybody's pretty clear here. Okay, no one raised their hands. Okay, should we continue? We're right on time. Or should I go ahead and do the closing? Hamim, can you please suggest?
Inshallah, we can continue next time.
Jazakallah khair, thank you. Okay, I'll give a few seconds to see if anybody wants to add anything or has any additional comments or questions. Let me quickly check the chat box. If not, then we'll go ahead and do the closing. Thank you so much, everyone, for your presence, and for those who added comments, and for your participation. I'm gonna go ahead and make the dua, inshallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Surah Fatiha.